So if you're running, I know, trying to be helpful. When you run the program and you ever get the one of each with an exclamation point, the reason some of you may have never seen that yet, but if you see one of each on this when you're doing these coins, that means that you rolled the die 6 times and got one of each of the sides in the first 6 rolls. Now, that's hard to do. That's hard to do because usually you get a repeat in the first 6 rolls. So in other words, if you got one of each, that means that you rolled 6 times and saw each face 1 time, which means you'd have to roll 7 times until you got a repeat. Does that make sense? Because if you rolled 6 times and got 1 face each of the 6 times, that means they were all different. Whatever you roll next is going to match. Does that make sense? It's going to match one of the 6 you already rolled. So it would be 7 for a repeat and 6 for number of rolls until you saw each side. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. I might need to recode it so it doesn't do the one of each because I think it's more confusing than it is helpful. I was trying to celebrate. You got one of each. So now you know what that date is. It's 7-6. 7 until a repeat, 6 until you've seen all the sides at least once. So that's, apologies for making that more confusing than it needs to be. It's just that as a math guy, I got excited about that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And the more sides you have, the more interesting it is. And this is why the quiz exists for either today or Monday, Max and the Legos. So if you got a chance to look at the quiz, you know what this is all about. It's about Max and me going into Legoland at the Lego store. And they sell these little minifigures. They have an annual series of minifigures. Once a year, they put out 16 minifigures that are in little bags. And you walk up and you grab a bag. It's like playing cards. You don't know what figure is going to be inside, but you know there's 16 of them. They have 16 pictures in the bag. So my son, being adorable, grabs 16 bags. I'm like, no problem, buddy. He's like, no, I have them all. I'm like, well, maybe. And he's like, what do you mean, maybe? And then I have to explain to a 6-year-old that you most likely have a repeat somewhere in the bags. And I discovered the best way of doing that is to simply buy the 16, crack them open, and look. And then he got pissed. He's like, what? I got 3 punk rock mohawks. And I'm like, yes, it's like, keep one. But he's upset because now he doesn't have, I don't know, the skateboarder. And that's what the quiz is all about. How many bags on average would you have to buy to guarantee on average that you've got at least one of each? Hence the second number that you're getting in your data. How long do you have to go on average till a repeat? And number 2, how long do you have to go on average until you've seen each side, or for Max, gotten each minifigure? See what's going on there? It's a staggering number. And as the number of sides goes up, it gets more and more staggering.
So 16 is the number of sides.
16 is the minimum, right, 16 is the number of sides for Max's problem, exactly. And 16 would be the minimum number. It's possible, of course, that I would simply grab all 16 bags and get all 16 figures. It's just not likely, and that's why I'm collecting the data, is I want to do probabilities with you guys today. And this is the bridge of the gap. What's the chance, for example, and I can't explain this to Max, a 6-year-old can't understand probability, but what's the chance that you actually get all 16 in the first 16 pools? Once we have the data, we can actually collect it and analyze that. But we need the data first, yes? That's what we need. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera off for now. I'm going to fix the